Hi, this is Lauren from LSP Actions and welcome to video tutorial number 5 for the LSP North Pole Cottage digital background for Photoshop. If you haven't already, I really recommend watching video 1, which is the overview and shows you how to get this into Photoshop, and I talk you through what each of these layers means, and video 2, which is the complete step-by-step, start to finish edit of adding a family image into this digital, blending, cutting, even refining the hair selection. So if you haven't already, please do watch those 2 videos. This digital background is designed for subjects shot on white, or at least a white floor, so that you can paint the shadows in really easily and make the subjects really blend with this image. But what happens if you've shot your subject on a different colour background? It's going to be a bit of an editing headache for you, so I always recommend using this digital background with a subject shot at least on a white floor, even if it's not white behind the head. But I'm going to give you an example of something you can do if you've shot your subject on a different colour background. A few little techniques you can try to whiten the background but without whitening your subjects. So I'm going to place the subject in front of the house here. I'm going to come up and click on the Close the Gate option and click the layer position that says Place Subject in Front here. I'm going to come up here to File, Place Embedded. This is much better than copying and pasting, and it's also important that you place a pre-edited image in. Don't place a raw straight out of the camera. Go for something that's pre-edited. Make sure you've edited the skin, the blemishes, the background, your usual editing techniques. So click on Place Embedded, and I'm going to choose this one here. You see she is on a cream bone coloured background. So I'm just going to resize her in roughly here and hit enter. You need to make sure the light is coming from the right place, which is from the left in this image. If your subject is, for example, facing with the light coming from the right, you need to right click, flip horizontal, or you can flip the background. I'll show you how to do that in video 2 as well. Hit enter, and now we need to mask the subject. Add a layer mask to the image. To the layer, sorry, your subject layer, by clicking here, the little box that looks like the Japanese flag adds the layer mask. White means show, black means hide. Because I'm on Photoshop Creative Cloud, I'm going to click on the magic wand and hit select subject. This normally does a pretty good job of selecting the subject. If you're not on Creative Cloud, if you're using an older version, you're going to have to zoom in and refine this cutout by hand. You can see how to do that again in video 2, where I walk you through everything step by step. But I can simply invert the layer mask around the subject here. So you can see she's added in. It's not too bad. There's a little bit I need to do refining here around the hair. But if I grab a white brush, nice soft one, and I start painting these shadows underneath her back in, you can see the yellow because she was on this bone oyster coloured background, which is no good. So we need to whiten this up. If you use the LSP whiten in Photoshop Actions, you can whiten it up using those, but I'm going to show you how to do it quickly by hand. So come down here to the adjustment layers. This is a little circle with a 2-tone in it, and click Hue Saturation. You will get the Hue Saturation window pop up here, and you will see a Hue Saturation layer here above the image. Right click this layer, Hue Saturation layer, and choose Create a Clipping Mask. And what this does, it means that you will only be changing your baby image or your subject image. You will not be changing the background. Now, because the background is yellowy toned, I'm going to come down here where it says Master and choose just the yellows. If your background is a different colour, you can choose that from the drop down. If your background is grey, you can skip this step because there is no colour in a grey background. And I'm going to pull this saturation of the yellows all the way down. You can also play here with this, with the colour selection area here. Ideally, you don't want to select the skin, but I'm going to show you how you can take this off the skin. So we're just focusing on this background for now. And you can see already that I've taken the yellows out. It's really whitened the background up. You may find if you're using a darker background, this goes grey, like a lot greyer. So I'm going to click on the subject again, come down here, and now I'm going to add a levels layer. This is already clipped in because I added it underneath, but if not, you can right click and create a clipping mask. I'm going to click on here. You see there are 3 droppers. There's a dark one, a neutral, and a light. I'm going to click the light dropper and click on an area of the background that's light, of the subject's background, not the main backdrop. And you can see this has now whitened up the background here. Yes, her skin looks funny. Don't worry about that for now. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. You can pull the shadows back in by moving this black slider down a little. And then what you need to do when you're happy is Control or Command I on the layer mask to turn it to black, and do the same with the hue and saturation, Control or Command I. And that's hidden them both. Come over, grab your brush on white, make sure it's nice and soft, a low flare or a low opacity. First of all, on the hue and saturation, I'm just going to start stroking this in around the edges, taking care not to get this on the subject's skin. If you do accidentally get it on the skin or the clothing, you can switch to a black brush, which means hide the effect, and just paint it off. Now I'm going to do the same with the levels layer. White brush, and brush this over, and you can see it's really lightening and lifting everything up. So you see I'm clicking on the layer masks and painting it off. You can see there's a little bit here, so I'm just going to grab a small white brush. It's always worth zooming in when you're working with composites to make sure there's nothing you've missed. So that is how to whiten the floor when you're adding a subject to this digital. I'm going to go ahead with a black brush, a nice soft one, and just smooth this in a bit. And that way we've retained all the shadows of the original image here. So the subject is realistically placed in, but we've managed to colour the floor in white. I'm just going to work on this selection a little more here on the hair bows quickly by using a white brush, nice and hard, painting in. This little cutie was shot by Anna Brandt, and so was the house. So I'm just zoomed in nice and close, and I'm making sure that this cutout is a good cutout without any haloing around the hair or anything like that. I'm just going to add a levels layer to darken this subject down a little bit around the edges. And I'm just going to use this lightly over any areas of the hair which look like they have a halo on them. And when you're happy with the edit, you can decide whether you want to change the background of the image, add any extras such as the window adornment, the snowman, add a snow layer. You can add, you can make it completely look Christmassy like this, or you can go minimalist like this. You can also crop in if you wanted to. Entirely up to you. So I hope that video is helpful when it comes to changing the colour of the background. You can watch the other tutorials on YouTube and on the LSP Actions website at www.lsp-actions.com. I'm Lauren, thanks for watching.